Welcome to the fifth and final webinar series, Beyond Plant Blindness, Understanding and Protecting Native Biodiversity, which is organised by the EXPBIO Project. My name is Helen Ekvall. I work at the Gothenburg Botanical Garden in Sweden, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Gothenburg. Also with me is Gunilla, who is the project leader for EXPBIO and today my technical support. The EXPBIO project is funded by the EU Interreg North Sea programme. We are 8 partners from Sweden, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands and Belgium. We are municipalities, universities, botanical gardens, public research institutes and governmental agencies. Our aim is to increase biodiversity in the North Sea region whilst also raising awareness about it. We are all concerned about the decline of flower and insect diversity and are trying to find ways to increase this. I'm delighted to see many of you here today who are interested in exploring practical and scientific approaches to raise plant awareness and increase engagement in the natural world. Last spring, we held a series of webinars on seed mixtures and seed cultivation, followed by a second webinar series last autumn focusing on grassland restoration. This third and final series focuses on speakers who share their latest insights on how we can engage people in plant diversity, increase plant awareness, and also show how nature-based therapy can relieve stress. Last week, we listened to Lars Pettersson, who talked about how the Swedish butterfly monitoring scheme has developed since it was founded 16 years ago. How it, among other things, reaches out to recruit volunteers and inform and engage the public. Our final webinar reflects our partners from the municipality of Hjørring in Denmark, who have a health-focused perspective on biodiversity, highlighting the strong link between nature and human well-being. Today, I'm very pleased that Marja Abrahamsson and Eva-Lena Larsson are here to talk about their experiences on the use of nature-based interventions for people with stress-related exhaustion. I'm sure we'll learn a lot from their experiences. Marja Abrahamsson is a physiotherapist and section manager at Green Rehab, Gothenburg, Sweden, with 20 years of experience of nature-based rehabilitation. Eva-Lena Larsson holds a PhD in biology, and Eva-Lena started the Green Rehab Centre at Gothenburg Botanical Garden in 2004 and was manager there for 17 years. She is now part of the EXPBIO project. This webinar will last 1 hour, 30 to 40 minutes for the presentation and the rest of time for discussions. Some technical issues. Please mute your microphone and please write your questions in the chat for the discussions after the talk. So you can write those during the talk. With that, I hand over to you, Marja and Eva-Lena.
Thank you, Helen, and thank you for having us. And good afternoon, everyone on the screen. My name is, as Helen said, Marja Abrahamsson, and I'm really happy to be here today together with Eva-Lena, my colleague. We're going to talk to you about why to use nature-based interventions for people with stress-related diseases. Okay, I am the section manager at Green Rehab. It is a rehabilitation garden next to the Botanical Garden in Gothenburg in Sweden. My passion for garden therapy is rooted both in my personal experience of nature being my own source of recovery and in my professional experience as a physiotherapist. For nearly 20 years now, I have been able to integrate nature, gardening and teamwork, and I have seen firsthand how powerful this combination can be for people's health and well-being.
Hello everyone, my name is Eva-Lena Larsson. I am a biologist by training, and for 17 years I was the manager for Green Rehab. During that time, Green Rehab was a part of Gothenburg Botanical Garden. 5 years ago, Green Rehab passed over to the corporate healthcare in region Västra Götaland, and I'm so happy that Marja took over my former role. Some days ago, when I talked through my slides in this PowerPoint we will present for you today, I realized that I frequently use the word we. I left almost 5 years ago, but I think I left a little part of myself at Green Rehab. So I hope Marja is okay with you today that I will say we, of course. Right now, I'm working in the EXPBIO project with biodiversity. And as Helen told us when we started, biodiversity is also important for people's health and recovery from illness. Therefore, we have been asked to talk on the subject, why use nature-based interventions for people with stress-related diseases? And the popular word for stress-related diseases is burnout. This is the outline of the presentation. First, we will give an introduction to Green Rehab, how it all started, and how we work today. After that, we will give some examples from research, Eva Salin's research on Green Rehab, Patrick Gran's meta-analysis. After that, there will be time for questions. Gothenburg Botanical Garden is owned by region Västra Götaland, and the region Västra Götaland is marked red on the map. It has 1.77 million inhabitants. And the region is one of Sweden's largest employer with 57,000 employees, mostly healthcare, but also public transport, opera house, museums, etc. And the Gothenburg Botanical Garden as well. We are situated right here. I will tell you a little about how it all began. In 2000 to 2004, I led a project about nature, health, and lifestyle for the Botanical Garden in Gothenburg. I compiled new research on the importance of nature for people's health. We wrote booklets on the subject, gave courses, and held lectures. During that time, the region had quite many employees suffering from stress-related diseases. The normal treatment for this group was helpful for some, but not for everyone, and the region wanted to test something new. The politicians asked the board of the Botanical Garden, can you start a rehab garden? And the board said yes, and I was employed for this task. The preparations took 2 years, and there were lots of meetings and discussions, but we managed to get people to cooperate, and in 2006, Green Rehab started. We got a project for 3 years, and this was our mission. We were supposed to develop a model for Green Rehab that could be copied by others. We were going to give rehabilitation for employees in the region with burnout. They were all on long-term sick leave, and we were going to help them to go back to work or study. And we were also going to give courses for employees and managers in the risk zone for burnout. And after 3 years, we were evaluated, and in 2009, we became permanent.
So, 20 years later, what do we do today? And still today, we are located in this 19th century gardener's cottage in Lilla Änggården, close to the Botanical Garden. The cottage is surrounded by a rehabilitation garden, and there's a brook running through it, and every spring the apple trees bloom in front of the house, as you can see in this picture. Gothenburg has something unusual for a major city, and that is wild nature directly in and next to the city center. For example, the Änggården Nature Reserve. And our gardener's cottage is located right next to this beautiful green oasis, and our participants benefit the direct access to it. The peaceful natural setting in this place plays a central and very important role in the rehabilitation process. Our program is, as Eva-Lena said, still aimed to employees within region Västra Götaland. And they are still suffering from stress-related exhaustion, and they are still on full-time or part-time sick leave because of it. During the years, we have met about 950 participants at Green Rehab. And here in the picture, you can see a part of our garden. We have developed a work model that has grown and evolved through experience, research, and feedback from our participants. The foundation of the work model is the research-based knowledge of nature's ability to provide recovery and stress reduction. And this is combined with established treatment methods in physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and psychotherapy, all conducted in a safe environment. The rehabilitation is today group-based and takes place 3 times per week, 3 hours at a time. The consistency helps the participants to return to the structure of everyday life. In case of full-time sick leave, the rehabilitation program takes 28 weeks with gradual transition back to work. In case of part-time sick leave, the program is 16 weeks in parallel with work. The intervention is led by a multidisciplinary team, including an occupational therapist, a psychotherapist, a physiotherapist, a gardener, and a nature guide. And here you can see all of us in the same picture. So, what do we do during the weeks? The various activities are the following. I will start with something we call nature walks. The nature walks are guided by the nature guide. She leads the group on a slow walk on trails in the nearby nature reserve. We are present in the nature with various themes to talk about, all depending on the season. The participants get fresh air and daylight, and the possibility to be present with their senses, fascination, and of course, exercise. We have days with group conversations, and the psychotherapist conducts conversations based on different themes related to stress and recovery. It is helpful to understand what has happened and to meet others in the same situation as yourself. And of course, we also have the activity of gardening. And the garden at Green Rehab is a place for both rest and meaningful activities, an active part of the rehabilitation and not just an environment to be in. The garden is approximately 1,000 square meters in size and contains a herb garden, growing beds, greenhouses, and areas to rest. We have garden activities mainly from March to October. The choice of plants have been made with the target group in mind. And together with the gardener, the participants learn about gardening techniques and plants. working mindfully and following the cycle from seed to plant. Sensory experiences are important, and we slow down to have time to open our senses, to feel, to see, to smell. And the participants can choose their level of engagement. There are places for solitude and social interaction, so they can choose depending on their needs for the day. How should these environments be designed? What needs to be included for the environment to promote recovery? Here you can see 8 very important areas, and I will mention the 4 on the left side. You really need a sense of peace and quiet in the area, in contrast to social activities. You need the presence of natural elements like trees, water, and vegetation. And you need a feeling of safety, of shelter, and being protected from the elements or threats. And a high level of biodiversity and variety of plant and animal life. And what more activities do we offer? We do have something we call creative activities. As humans, we are fundamentally active and creative, and the occupational therapist offers the possibility of creating different things using a range of natural materials, such as willow, clay, wood, and wool. The activities gives the possibility to practice memory, coordination, concentration in a lustful way, as a way to finding back to your joy and creativity. And we also have something we call art therapy. Art therapy can help people develop and increase their self-awareness. In art therapy, the occupational therapist leads the group in the creative process of painting and reflective conversations. Emotions and experiences are made visible and can thereafter be verbalized. And we also have something we call body awareness. Emotions, stress, and life events affect our bodies and leave their mark on our posture, our breathing, and movement patterns. Together with the physiotherapist, the participants practice basic body awareness as a tool for understanding and changing how they use their bodies and how to find their strength again. And when we do all this, what are our results? We're very happy to see that year after year, 9 out of 10 participants return to working life. And that in that we place work training, work and studies. Work training in Sweden means that you will get the opportunity to work with help of supervision without any productivity requirements for about 3 months before you start your real work. This is how we work today. And here you see the garden in full bloom in the middle of the summer. I don't think it is all that different from when you worked with us, Eva-Lena. So let's move on and take a look at what the research says about Green Rehab.
I am a biologist by training, and I made my PhD up in the Arctic, studying vegetation and climate change. So I did not have the right background to perform research on Green Rehab myself. But Eva Salin got the right background. Some of you may have met her. She is now retired, but was connected to the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. Her Her research was conducted on Green Rehab's participants, and she made a doctoral thesis named "To Stress the Importance of Nature." In the dissertation, she has 4 articles, and we are going to talk about 2 of them today. The first one is, how do participants in nature-based therapy experience and evaluate their rehabilitation? Eva Salin made in-depth interviews with 8 women and 3 men during their final time at Green Rehab. The interviews were analyzed with a phenomenological methodology, and I will present some results from these interviews. Being in the right or wrong
Eva-Lena?
phase. Yeah.
I suddenly lost the sound. Is it only me? I lost your voices again. I lost them in the beginning.
Okay.
I can hear them. I can hear you really well.
Okay. Something wrong with your technique today, Gunilla. Okay. I continue.
Thank you. Just move on.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. When to start the rehabilitation? Being in the right or wrong phase was of great importance for the rehabilitation outcome. So how do you estimate if a person is in the right or wrong phase? Well, before the participants start their rehabilitation at Green Rehab, they are interviewed by the psychotherapist who assesses whether they are ready to start the program or not. Many of them need additional time to rest before the rehabilitation begins. And the participants said that it was important to get the opportunity to rest during an initial recovery period at home before rehab. The participants got help from the team to change dysfunctional patterns. For the participants, it's often helpful to be in the present, not ponder over the past or worrying about the future, and not rushing or forcing things. It is okay that things may take time, and learn and practice different breath and relaxation techniques. During their time at Green Rehab, they practice these techniques mostly twice a day. What is the importance of being in a group? They found that they were not alone with their illness. The participants were very supportive to each other, and seeing the other participants who were at different stages of rehabilitation gave a sense of hope for their own recovery. What was the experienced importance of having a rehabilitation team? The team encouraged the participants to listen to their own needs and to the body signals. It gave a stronger sense of the participants' self-worth, the right to say no and to set limits. The participants also experienced existential dimensions while meeting nature. They felt parallels between the process in the nature and their own lives. Nature provides comfort and a strong positive feeling of being part of a larger context that one could not, need not influence, but just draw strength from. Marja, can you please read the quote from one of the participants?
Okay, I'll do my best. 1 minute, nature's sparkling with beautiful colors, and the next it's molded and dyed. This makes me reflect a lot about the fact that it may be okay to have a period in your life when you're in dissonance with yourself and not feeling so good, not having the same strength as before. Because nature's built that way, one may need to hibernate for a while to bloom again. Okay, and that was the first article. And the second article we're going to present today is this: using nature-based rehabilitation to restart a stalled process of rehabilitation in individuals with stress-related mental illness. Sorry. The participant group included 97 individuals on long-term sick leave. The study focused on self-assessed levels of depression and anxiety. The measurement tools that were used were BDI, Beck Depression Inventory, and BAI, Beck Anxiety Inventory. Participants were interviewed at 4 different times: before they started at Green Rehab, before they completed their time at Green Rehab, 6 months after completing, and 12 months after completing. And this diagram shows changes in levels of depression over time, from their start to their 12-month follow-up. The scale runs from mild depression that you can see to the left to severe depression that you can see to the right. The bars indicate the percentage of participants in each category at each time point that I mentioned, and the percentages are shown above each bar. And to make an interpretation, I'd like to say that a positive development is shown when the bars shift to the left. 88% of our participants had reduced scores on their depression scale after the rehabilitation. And the results about anxiety. These diagrams also show changes in levels of anxiety over time, also from start to 12-month follow-up. These scales run from mild anxiety to the left to severe anxiety to the right. Also here, the bars indicate the percentage of participants in each category at each time point. And the percentages are shown above each bar. And the interpretation shows a positive development, and it is shown when the bars shift to the left. And they show that approximately 70% had reduced scores on the anxiety scale after rehabilitation. I'd like to mention that our participants still continue to complete these self-assessment questionnaires today. And I'm glad to see that the results remain consistent, showing similar positive trends over time. And these are important findings, because if people only felt better at the end of the program, but then quickly fell back to where they were before they started, then our work wouldn't have a lasting effect. But this study shows that the improvement is there even over time. And it is not just us. Other nature-based rehabilitation programs are showing strong results too. We hope more studies will show that what we see, that nature-based rehabilitation is an effective approach for people on long-term sick leave due to burnout. And in 2023, a report by the Swedish Social Insurance Agency presented statistics which highlighted that about 36,000 individuals were on sick leave for burnout and about 28,000 for acute stress reaction just during the year 2022. So that shows a lot of people are still suffering, and it is important to find effective rehabilitation practices. And we have conducted a socio-economic evaluation on our operations. It was made by Emily Pauli, who is a health economist working at Gothenburg University. That showed that the cost of our rehabilitation is repaid to society just 6.5 months after the participant has completed the program. And for those of you who maybe want to know more, in 2020, we wrote a book about our model, what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. But it is only in Swedish, though. But it is out there to read.
This is Professor Patrik Gran. His research has been very important to the subject area. He was also Eva Salin's supervisor when she was a PhD student. He is also connected to the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. Patrik Gran wrote several chapters in the book. One chapter is called Nature-Based Interventions Works. In this chapter, he's talking about the evidence pyramid. The higher you get in the pyramid, the more reliable is the research. And on the base, you can see that there is studies with background information and the opinion of experts. After, higher up, there are false studies. After that, cohort studies, randomized control studies, systematic overviews, and on top, the meta-analysis. A meta-analysis compiles the knowledge where one investigates the overall research situation. So what does the meta-analysis say about nature-based interventions? It says that nature-based interventions work in treating people with mental illness. It says that using a professional team have an effect. Research suggests that providing a natural environment is sufficient to achieve noticeable positive effects for patients or participants, but the effects are doubled with a professional team around. What about the group size and the interventions? Research suggests that nature-based interventions have the greatest effect with a group size of 5 to 7 participants. The interventions should ideally cover more than 3 months and include at least a couple of sessions per week. When we look at Green Rehab's result, we see that nature-based interventions work for people with burnout. And when we read Patrik Gran's meta-analysis, we are happy to say that it also supports the structure and the way of working at Green Rehab. The book Marja mentioned, it's in Swedish, but we have published in English as well. There are a German textbook where we have 3 articles about us. 4 articles, as Marja, is it? Okay, 4 articles about us. And if you want, I can put the references in the chat after the presentation. This is the last picture for today. And do not forget, spring is coming. At least the forest around us here will look like this in a few months. So, thank you for listening. Read more about us on our webpage.
Thank you. Very inspiring and interesting talk. Thank you very much, Eva-Lena and Marja. There are a few questions come in here. One is, Eva-Lena, you mentioned that there is evidence that health improves more in areas with higher biodiversity. Are these articles among the references you provided? Thank you very much for a great talk.
Thank you. We can put them there. It's research made by Patrik Gran. So we can put it in the chat.
Great, thank you. Another question is there a diversity among participants? Are there women, men, young and old, or is there any particular age group or it's overrepresented?
Until today, we have about 90% women in the group. Or is it even more? I think maybe even more. There has been some changes during the years, but we have more women than men, and the average age is about 50, 46 to 50. It changes a little.
Okay. Do you have any explanation to why there's so many women?
Yes, we do. As Eva-Lena mentioned earlier, we get our participants from the region of Västra Götaland, and there you have a very big healthcare section, and there is mostly women working in our healthcare section. There is, though, no difference between men and women when they start in the enterprise. So they both get the benefits in the same way.
Thank you. Another question is, are the protocols, the different activities, are they different for are they different for anxiety and depression, or is it a similar recovery? Or thinking
yeah.
If you understood.
I think I understand.
Yeah.
And it is the same. But people have not only the burnout, but they often have mild depression and anxiety, but not all of them have all three. So it suits all the people who come to our
the same sort of activities.
The same sort of activities, yes.
Okay, we've got a few more. Sorry.
But then I'd like to mention that we do always adapt to the person who comes, so that it is possible for them to participate. So you adapt in the group for the person.
Okay.
That is one important.
Yeah, it's very important, I'm sure. Has your Green Rehab been copied by others?
Yes, it has. Several places, and if you want to copy us, you are welcome. That was the idea from the beginning, that we would inspire other, and people get inspired, but they do their own way of Green Rehab back home. But we can always inspire each other, I think.
Thank you. I have another question here. You've talked a lot about rehabilitation, but what about prevention? What is the science saying about that? Do you have any information about prevention?
Yes. One of Eva Salin's article in her dissertation is about prevention. And that is, of course, good to stop the burnout process before you really got the sickness. So, of course, that is much better.
Yeah. Got one in Swedish here. Shall I do it in Swedish? I'll say, how is the future for the business, the Green Rehab, as apparently this burnout is not any longer a diagnosis? Is that?
Yes, I understand the question, and it is a question we're working with today. And the people who are sick of stress-related illness, they won't disappear, but we will get new ways to give the diagnosis, and the work is not quite ready yet, but we will continue our work after we get new diagnosis.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. There's a someone's asking, where has it been copied? Has it been copied, Green Rehab, has it been copied in Stockholm?
It's mostly around Gothenburg, but there is a problem with these kind of enterprises that it's often run as a project, and after 3 years the money is there is no money to continue, and then they start another enterprise on another place and they run for 3 years, and so on. But how is it today, Marja? Is there any more than Green Rehab around Gothenburg?
No, we don't have in Gothenburg anymore. There were 3 of us, but not today. There's only us. But then we have other places like Grevegården, and in the south of Sweden we have several places where they call it the NUR Gardens, and even more on our website we have different places where they conduct this kind of work.
Great, thank you. We have a question here about schools. Can Green Rehab be used as a helping children stay in school, or used as an activity for children that cannot go to school because they are depressed or not well? I think that's what you mean, Carolina. I hope I've got the question a bit. I could also ask it in Swedish. Grön rehabilitering som en närvarofrämjande aktivitet i skolan för elever som inte orkar gå till skolan. You've heard about that at all?
Yes, I'd say that animal-assisted therapy is better for younger people. Of course, it's good to be out in the nature, but I think that there is research on animal-assisted therapy for young people. And that animal-assisted therapy, for example, with dogs or horses, is a kind of nature-based therapy. So, yes.
Yeah, and that has been used in schools previously. Do you know if it has been used?
Yes, it has.
Yes. Okay,
yes,
great.
Has.
Thank you. Exciting. Thank you, Eva-Lena and Marja. I think that's all the questions. Let me just quickly look through. If there's anyone else who'd like to ask a question, we have a couple of minutes left on the chat. So please write them down if you have any questions. Let's see if anything pops up now. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Oh, here's one. Sorry. We have a course at Jönköping University with animals and education with children. So welcome to apply. Thank you for that. In the autumn it starts. So anyone interested in working with schools and animals in schools for nature-based therapy, there's a course in Jönköping. Thank you very much, Marja and Eva-Lena. Really, really inspiring. This is the last webinar of the series, and as you probably all know now, all the webinars are recorded and are available on the Interreg webpage, the EXPBIO webpage. And now that the webinar series is complete, you will receive an email with a questionnaire on reflections and learnings, and we'd greatly appreciate if you could fill this in. It'll just take a few minutes. You can still use the chat for another few minutes if you have any remaining thoughts to share, and we will check it afterwards. But on behalf of the entire EXPBIO team, I would like to say thank you all for participating. Thank you very much, and bye. Bye-bye.